Hi Stampers, Rachel here again with our February Fun Fold Club to Go. So this card looks very cute and it looks very complicated, but I promise you it's not. I also didn't finish assembling this because I wanted to show you a couple things you could do. So basically this card is like an easel stand card and it does stand up when it's finished. So we have a little stamping there, a little stamping on the inside, but it's a nice card that you can add a lot to. I kind of added the feathers. You can omit that for the second layer if you want, but it's a really pretty card. So we use Tasteful Touches. I used the feather. And then I also brought in Tranquil Thoughts because I really love this sentiment, wishing you a beautiful day. So that's the only thing that I have from this in this stamp set. We're using Bermuda Bay and our base is Flirty Flamingo. So this is a bright take on not using necessarily muted colors, but a bright twist to this. So we do have some really pretty paper. And I want to show you the other side of this just so you can see it. So this one is the stone pattern, which you could use that as easily, but I thought this kind of like washed out beach color looked really pretty. So this is a very simple card to make, and I'm going to keep that on the side for a minute. So you don't have a lot to it. This is 8.5, I believe it's 8.5. Let me just triple check that. Yes, 8.5 squared. So it's 8.5 by 8.5, and then you're going to score it at 4 1/8 on both sides. Okay, we are going to eventually cut, but basically I did score it, so I wanted to show you that. I had to score it in order to be able to fit it in half, so I figured I might as well do both of them. So it is going to be scored on both sides, and I'm going to show you what you're going to need to do to reinforce it. But this card is really easy to create. You also have 3, 4, I'm sure these are 4x4, 4x4 inch, very vanilla. This is actually thick, very vanilla. And then you have 3 7/8 inch square of the wood grain DSP. Now yours might be a little different than what I used. I was running to the end of mine, so I had to sub for a different pattern. It is still pretty light, but it's not the exactly same grain one. But you could also use this if you wanted to go with something different. So it just depends. And then you have a little scrap piece for our sentiment, which we're going to do like a partial die cut for this. So we're going to do this first, and then we'll get into how we're going to make the card. So let's do a little bit of stamping. So I am going to stamp 1, 2, and as a matter of fact, I think you might have the lighter wood paper. I think I gave myself the other paper. That way you guys could have the same paper. So I'm going to open up my Bermuda Bay, and we'll do that first. We'll do our sentiment. So we really only need to die cut part of this, and I'm going to show you which one. It's for, oops, I picked a different one. I forgot. It's for this one. So you're going to be cutting it off, so it's kind of up to you. If you want to save paper and try to get 2 out of it, maybe you could. But basically what we're doing is we're just doing a partial die cut. So I'm just going to tape this, that way I know where I want it. Just like that. Okay, if you wanted to, you could scoot it over a little bit closer. Just depends on what you want to do. So this will be the only die cutting we have to do. So I'm going to put that on the side for a minute. Then for our feathers, we're just going to kind of stamp these in a random pattern. If this is a little too dark, you could also go with Coastal Cabana. Just depending. You could stamp it without re-inking if you wanted to get a little bit lighter. So there's that. Again, you remember I did do this on the inside, so if you wanted to maybe leave a little bit of space to add some other kind of little handwritten note, you could, but since this is a little bit darker, I'm gonna just add this all over, because I think it's really just a fun card. Be a great, just a thinking of you nice card. Now, one other thing, I do have this extra piece, and I wanted to show you something else on the inside that you could do. So also, if you wanted to make this maybe into a card where you're going to give somebody a gift card, we can also do that. So I'm just going to set these on the side for now. I'm going to run this through the die cutting just so I can have that ready. And then the rest is pretty much just working on our card. Okay. I love this. This actually is Coastal Cabana. So this is Coastal Cabana paper, but we're using Bermuda Bay ink. So if it does look darker, that's why. Okay, so we have this. If you wanted to, you could always trim a little bit off. So we'll kind of see how that goes when we get there. Put that on the side. So we have our base. And basically what you want to do is, and I actually do this the opposite way. So I'm going to make sure when I have these folded, because you score them, but you still want to make sure that they line up. So I'm just checking to make sure it's folded corner to corner. Okay, so same for this one, just making sure it's corner to corner. Now you can do this with your trimmer or with your scissors, but basically you're going to cut one of these score marks out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut just to the left. And then I'm just going to trim this score mark off. The score line, I should say. Okay, just kind of pluck that off. And then what you're going to end up doing is, one other thing we have to do is, this is how your card's going to go, okay? But you want this to be in the back so you don't see it, okay? So if you've cut the middle here, you're kind of folding this in and bringing it up. And what it does is it kind of prevents you from seeing the fact that there's a back here. So it's not in the side, which when I did for my first one, I accidentally put it on the front. You don't want it in the front. You kind of want that part in the back, okay? And then this part here, you're going to just score. You can do this a couple different ways. So if you have your Stampin' trimmer, you're going to move your cutting blade out of the way. You can either line it up, and I'm going to fold this down so you can see. So you have your top corner there and your bottom corner here. You can go like this and give yourself a score. So you can see, if you don't have a trimmer, you could also use a T-square ruler, and you basically just want to score from point to point. Another thing you could do if you happen to have this handy, and I'll show you just because it's pretty simple, is if you have a simply scored, you can line up your corner right here, and then you could just use your simply scored to do your score line, okay? But that is what's going to give you the little fold in the middle for your card to go up. So this is going to go in, and again, we're just trying our best to make sure that it's nice and even point to point, so we don't have any parts that don't line up, okay? So once again, we're going to bring it like that, and then this is going to fold up, so you can kind of go over your reinforcement. So I just want to show you just one more time, okay? So it doesn't really matter where you cut your gap in between, but wherever you cut, okay, this part's going to come up and go to the back, and then this part here where your cut is going to have the diagonal score line, okay? So just taking a look at that so you know, so in case you have your piece and you're like, what in the world am I going to do? This is together. You're just cutting out the score line, and the reason you're cutting it out is it gives you a little bit better of a feel when you put it together. You can see it lines up a little bit nicer because you have that little piece missing there, and then this is just going to fold in to go to your card, okay? So pretty simple. Does take a little bit of getting used to. The only thing that's probably the most important is remembering what is the front, okay? So the front of your card is going to be here. So I'm going to lay this here. I did pick the lighter portion. So I'm going to put these two together, and then I'm going to put this on. So I don't know if I want to trim a little bit of that off or kind of leave it as is. I think I might just leave it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and put this together. So we're just layering all these pieces together. I do tend to like using, if you haven't already been able to tell, the liquid glue, just in case. With these little narrow margins, it kind of helps you to line things up a little bit better if you have to wiggle them to move them to make them fit a little bit. There's one. Okay, so this can kind of go all the way to the edge. You could put this up on dimensionals if you wanted to. As a matter of fact, let's do something different for this one. My first one is just flat, but let's put this one up on dimensionals just for a little bit of change. I need one more. If you're concerned with having to put these on and feel like it might not be straight, if you haven't noticed this before, you can put a teeny bit, and I mean just a little bit of glue, liquid glue, not a lot at all. And what that'll help you do is it'll give you a little bit of wiggle room when you're lining this up. Okay, so there's that. And then this, remember, this is the front of your card, okay? Right here is the front. So even before you put it back together again, So remember, you're going to go here. This is your front. So this is going to be the front of your card. Okay. So I'm not going to put this on yet. What we're going to do first is we're going to, we can add our layer to the inside as well, which I'm going to do that one. One thing I will tell you is I would absolutely 100% say if you are going to write a note, save your note piece, write your note, and then put it together, because there is pretty much no way in the world you're going to be able to line this up exactly right. Or I should say, write your note without it being kind of squiggly. So I would definitely do that. So here's our one panel. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in. So I don't put in the writing panel until I'm actually ready to give the card. So that's another reason that one's not done. Okay, so saying you wanted to make this into a gift card, right? What you can do is you have this piece, so you could use this one instead. You could use the DSP extra layer if you wanted to. Make it a little bit prettier. Kind of just depends. If you do, I would try to make sure that you line up to make sure your pattern is going the same direction. So you can see. That way it goes straight across. All we're going to do if we're going to make this into a gift card holder, it's really simple, is we're just going to cut point to point. So I'm going to just line up the point in the track and the point in the track down here. And it never hurts to triple check. Make sure you have it. When you're cutting designer series paper, which is the pattern paper, it's usually very thin. So I tend to start in the middle. That way you don't start at the end and rip it. So we have our pieces here. And I'm going to show you. This will line up perfectly. Now this one was, I remember, cut down to 3 7/8 inches. So I am going to glue this one down because I'm right-handed, and the other one I'm going to only partially glue. So I'll show you what I mean. You might remember I did a video with this quite some time ago. So we'll layer this one. Okay, and then this one, I'm only going to put adhesive on the corner here. And I'm going to try to stay really close. Actually, let me grab my silicone mat. Kind of makes it easier for you to go way out to the edge. I'm doing a really thin bead. Okay. And then pick this up. Put this here. This one you want to make sure wherever you put it, you keep it, because you don't want to have more covered than needed. So we're just going to give that a second to adhere. Okay, so that one's getting itself together in there. And I think, actually, you know what? I don't have a gift card handy, but I do have a business card. These are my friends that created that the embossing gun holder I was telling you about. They also do the Tipsy, which is the glue holder. So just so we have something to show. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of stick my finger in here again, just to make sure it's still up. But you can put your gift card in here, just like so. Okay, so we still have to put this together, but what will happen is it's going to fold, and then it will close up, so you don't have to worry about, depending on the size, probably not if you have a business card size gift card. Gift cards do fit, though. You can always even put it in sideways if you needed to. This one is a little bit, gift cards aren't usually quite so pokey, so trust me, they will close. I have given these before with gift cards. Okay, so we have our front panel. So we're going to go ahead and put this on. Okay. And it doesn't hurt to just go back and double check. Make sure you put it in the right, in the right part. So you're making sure it's facing the right direction. Worst case scenario, you don't want to end up with something upside down. And then last but not least, we just have to glue this panel onto here so it holds your card together. Okay. So again, here's the front. This part is going to go in. Okay. This part's here, and you're going to glue this to the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue, kind of create a little box, and I'm closing my card, making sure no pieces stick out to the side. Okay, I'm just going to give it a little press. And then once again, I do have my panel for the inside here. which I probably wouldn't put this in here if I'm going to write a message. I probably would just leave this. I'll write my message and then I'll glue it in. And then you can close it. And this will fit in a regular envelope because it does measure 4 1/8. So it fits into a regular envelope. It might be a little bit fat, especially if you end up putting the dimensionals on, but it will mail in a regular envelope. You might need 1 extra ounce sticker, but it does fit in a regular envelope, and then it'll stand up just like that for you. So this is my panel that I didn't finish yet, which is why I usually put one inside. That way, once I put these in my envelope to keep it, I have something ready to be able to write, and it's already pre-measured and everything. So I hope you guys like this. One other thing I forgot, gotta add a little bit of something. I did add some of the little pearls because I thought they were really cute for this, so we'll just add a couple of those. Just like that. Just a couple. I did give you guys quite a few of those, but I've heard that things look better when they're in threes, so they're kind of in a loose triangular formation. I hope you guys enjoyed this card. I am also hoping that you thought it was much simpler than what it appeared to create. It's a beautiful card. I love the colors of it. I love the wood paper with it. I think it really just softens up the entire card very much. If you have any questions about how to make this card, or if something was not clear when I explained how to make it, please, please do not hesitate to contact me. There are always people who have questions about stuff, and there are no bad questions. The only bad questions are the ones that you don't ask. So if you have questions, you can either send me an email at rachthestamper@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you know about this card, and I'll see you when we make the next one. Thank you so much for joining this card kit this month. I do really appreciate your support.